This quick video is to demonstrate how to submit proposals to the AAPS 2020 FarmSci 360. I'm starting on the webpage that is aaps.org/farmsci/ps360 submit. What you'll see on this page is first the scientific themes and descriptions. If I click on that, it will open another window that goes through all of the themes, including the new track, discovery, and basic research. Going back to the main one, there is also, if you have been invited as a speaker, information about the travel support and reimbursement policy, but we're going to focus on submitting programming right now. When you click the Read More, it takes you to the site where you have the deadlines. Please note that they have been extended. The symposia, pre-conference workshops and short courses, and career development are all now open through April 8th from the previous deadline of March 31st. This is, of course, in recognition of the fact that it is very challenging for many people to find the time to do their day-to-day work, let alone submitting their proposals. The rapid fires remain at June 17th, 2020. So what I'm going to show you is going through the selection process is there's a chance to start your submission. I am an existing AAPS user, so I will just be selecting login. And I'm already logged into the website as well, so I don't know if it will even give me a login screen. And then if you don't have if you are either not a member or you've never logged into the AAPS website before, you create your profile first. Skipping that, we'll go straight to starting submissions. And what you can see is it shows my profile, and then there's an opportunity to provide feedback. But one of the things that is most important is that we have, again, links here to the scientific theme discussions, programs, and then the reimbursement policy. So if you forgot to look it up or you want to look it up again quickly, here you go. And then I'm going to now go to submissions. Your status needs to be marked as complete. Incomplete and withdrawn submissions will not be considered by the Scientific Programming Committee. And so when I get to that stage, I'm going to particularly illustrate how do you make sure it is actually complete. So I'm going to click here to begin a new submission. And what I am going to say is test workshop. The reason I am calling it a test is because I do not want to confuse the poor programming committee, including myself, that this is a real submission. It is not. I'm going to now select the pre-conference workshop and short course, and then I'm going to submit this, and the rest of what you see will come out from what you have selected. So when you're doing a workshop or a short course, what you have to do first is provide information about the scientific track. You have to pick one, but don't worry if you think yours spans across tracks. Most people, all of the programming committee is aware that there will be opportunities where it spans tracks and both groups will consider and propose for it. Unlike other symposia, unlike other conference content, the number of workshops and short courses are per conference, not per track. So if, for example, we get 3 excellent proposals for ClinPharm and none for bioanalytics, and that's unlikely to happen, what we would see is that there may end up being 2 ClinPharm and no bioanalytics in the final program. What type of program this is? This is where you pick whether you want half day, full day, short course, workshop. A good way to think about the difference between a short course and a workshop is that the workshop should be hands-on practicing for the attendees, whereas a short course is more of a lecture series. So if you had a half-day short course, you'd be looking to fill about 4 hours, and if you had the full-day short course, think about 7 because there's lunch. For a gap analysis, what you want to do is, in really short terms, you only get 500 words, say why this is a gap. What is missing for pharmaceutical scientists that this particular proposal will help fill. Format and audience engagement details. This is particularly important when you get to the workshop. What is their hands-on practice going to look like? And then the target audience isn't going to be all of the organization. It might be people who are expanding into a new area. It may be new graduates. There's a lot of different things that your target audience could be, but as you're thinking about putting together the proposal, you need to be thinking about who's the audience, and then a high-level summary and the tentative agenda. Workshops and short courses are the only ones that have this tentative agenda because you need to provide more details so we understand how you're planning on laying out the time. So I'm going to hit continue. Oh, it says I have errors. The way I'm going to get around that is I am going to go back to tasks on my submission and go to learning objectives. This is a type of objective that is filled out for most of the content types, but the number of learning objectives varies. For workshops and short courses, it is 5 because you have a larger break of time, and the way that the learning objectives are written is by completing a sentence. Upon completion, participant will be able to. And what you want to do is then say, what do you expect someone, after attending this session, to be able to do? And this again will also depend on the short course target audience as well. So I'm going to go back to tasks and then show you the speakers. There are the most speakers for workshops and short courses to put in. You need to provide first name, last name, email, and role. Do not worry, nobody is going to reach out to your speakers before you do, and the roles here are organizer, speaker, moderator. You can also see my profile is incomplete, which is totally fine. And then when you're done, you would hit Save Speakers. Now I'm going to back completely out and go to Submission. You can see that after you do things, it will start saying things like submission status. Right now, my only submission status available or active and withdrawn because I haven't actually entered the information. So if you come back to your home page, you will see that the status is incomplete. This is the way to notify you that your workshop has not been submitted. I'm going to go through the other types, and then when I get to the rapid fire, I will actually submit one. But then what you will see is that I won't actually, it won't be considered because I'm going to use vague terms. Let's start a new submission. I'm going to call this one Test Symposium. These are 30-minute slots. I'm submitting a speaker or a speaker and a backup speaker depending on how things move forward. And I'm going to now start this submission. You can see that you have the same 3 categories here, but it will look a little bit different when you get inside. So you still have the title and the scientific track. Here, if you pick a scientific track, you can see that we have the discovery and basic research now. You will get the sub-scientific track. I specifically selected discovery and basic research because this is a unique track where it's not divided between biologics and chemical entities. So there are 6 separate tracks here. If I go back and pick let's say manufacturing and analytical characterization, I'm down to 3. Gap analysis, as before, learning format and audience engagement details. For many people, for symposiums, this is going to be filled out as the standard talk plus Q&A at the end. But you can see there's an option to say, could this be a panel or debate? How can we best engage the attendee during the session? Target audience again, and now presentation description. This is sort of a similar thing as an abstract would be. However, the abstract would be resubmitted later. And then if you are submitting this 30-minute talk and you wish it to be considered as part of a 2-hour block, this is also the place to put that in, is that you're submitting this as part of 4 talks, and if possible you can give the names of the other talks to facilitate connecting those. Going back to tasks, learning objectives. It's the same as before, except now there's only 3. You have a 30-minute symposium when we're talking about 3 learning objectives. And then the same thing when you get to speakers. You will see that you have you need to put at least 1 speaker and no more than 6. And that's fine. What you'll see here is that again, it's first name, last name, email, but you no longer have that section where you picked what type of role they had, moderator, organizer, or speaker. So you're just putting in the speakers here. No more than 6 reflects that you may have several speakers you would like to propose. As the programming committee has the option to say, we like your topic, but this, we think a different speaker would be more appropriate. This sort of will allow you to give the idea of, well, these are the speakers, the multiple speakers that I'm considering that could give this talk. You do not have to have reached out to these people before you submit it, but you need to be aware that you need to be prepared to actually be able to reach out to them in the future. Alright, so you go back to the submission, you can see it's listed as active, and when you go back to home, it will show up in your list. And now you see I have 2 incomplete. Let's go again. Let's pick the hot topic. Hot topics have replaced the end-to-end symposium this year. We felt that the loss of the roundtables had been felt more keenly than previously would have been expected. And so the hot topics allow a more dedicated time without having to be the same topic through all 6 tracks. I'll hit submit, and you'll see now that you have the same thing, abstract learning objective speakers. In the abstract, you'll see that there's some information about the hot topic sessions, and it's not tied to any themes. So when you pick your scientific track, what you're doing is you're basically just picking, let's say I'm doing preclinical development, clinical, and what you have is now various options on how you would do this session format. One is a symposia. You could do 2 talks basically. Another one is a case study where you would be digging deeper into details. A debate, which would be either between panelists or between panelists in the discussion, and then a panel. Debate and panel are similar to what the roundtables used to be, where you're really having a more engaged conversation for the full hour with only maybe a 5-minute introduction of the topic. And then other is, let's say you have some idea that you think would be particularly engaging for the audience, you can say whatever it is you want. The gap analysis, again, learning format and audience engagement details. This is where you go into more detail in terms of your proposed session format. And then your target audience, of course. Who do you believe would be most engaged by this? And then your presentation description. And again, this is it's complementary to learning format, but is most critical when you're talking about a mini symposium of 1 hour. We'll go back to tasks. Learning objectives. It's 3 again. So you put your 3 learning objectives that you're hoping the attendees would meet. And then speakers. Again, now we have the same, at least 1 and no more than 6. But now if you are talking about having 2 speakers, you would actually put both speakers here as rather than 2 separate 30-minute slots. And the previous slide where you had the presentation details is where you'd give the time breakdown. In theory, you could do something like 4 15-minute talks, but that may be a little overwhelming in the space of 1 hour for the learning objectives. However, if it's an extremely hot topic and you want to do more of a surface coverage of many of the key issues, then it may make sense to have more than 2 speakers in order to get more case study information. Going back to the submission now, you can see it's active, and back to the home, and now you see I have 3 incompletes. So let's begin. The last submission type, which is my favorite, is the career development session also looks very much like the sessions for a symposium, but it is aimed at career development. And so what you would be doing is talking more specifically about how you would anticipate that fitting within the objective of the career development. Rapid fires, my favorite. These are not due until June 17th, was it? However, you can start submitting them now because we will look at them now in the first round if some have already been submitted, and kind of get an idea of how we are doing on submissions. So here we go, my scientific track. So because I am the track chair for bioanalytics, if I put this on biomolecular, then I know that I will get to ignore it myself because I'm going to submit it. Sub-scientific track. I am going to say that I am ready for the laboratory of the future. And my presentation description will be streamlining the critical path activities between central lab and analytical laboratory. This is really more to give you a sense of some of the things that we're looking at in the lab of the future is cutting down the rate limiting so that we can go faster. And then I'm going to hit continue, and since I've filled everything out now, the continue button will actually work. Learning objectives. They will be able to predict the future. Not really, but we'll try it. Run a central lab. Again, a little overambitious for a 15-minute talk. And learning objective 3 is turn around data in 5 minutes. Okay, clearly, if I were to review this talk, I would immediately say this person's perhaps shooting too high, but is perfectly fine for my test submission. And now for the speaker, you're going to find this one to be the easiest because it's you. You are the only person who can submit a rapid fire on your behalf. So what do I need to find that I haven't filled out? Let's see. Oh, a biographical sketch. This is a fake submission. So the biographical sketch is something that you would see going into the application as speaker bio. You are only responsible for doing your own speaker bio. If your sessions are accepted, then the apparently your middle initial cannot have a period after it. There we go. So I'm going to save the speaker. Oh, excuse me. I'm going to drink a little water. I'm going to go to submission. You're going to see active. And then now I'm going to back out to home. Look, my test rapid fire, despite the fact that I have filled out all of the information, is still listed as incomplete. So I've put in all the information, but I haven't actually submitted it yet. So I'm going to go back to the test rapid fire. I've saved the submission. So then how do I go next? Well, you save the submission again. If you had just been on that page, you wouldn't have to. And you hit submit. And now you will notice that my test rapid fire is now marked as complete. We strongly recommend that after you are done with what you are practicing, or actually submitting hopefully, that you come back to your home page and check that you have actually sent your submission. And so you can see now that I have one that is complete and 3 that are incomplete. I'm not going to worry about actually submitting these because we are showing you as a demonstration. Thank you very much for paying attention, and we look forward very much to your submission to AAPS PharmSci 360 this year, October 25th to 28th, 2020 in New Orleans, Louisiana. Thank you very much.